very updated a paper on the Taiwanese Bhikkshuni. Okay, thank you. And then we will move on to our second speaker, Kulavia Pipat from Thailand. And she holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and also a master's degree in Buddhist studies. And she is a lecturer and researcher at the Women's Studies Center, Faculty of Social Science at the Chiang Mai University in Thailand, and lectures widely on gender and Buddhism. So now let us welcome Kulavia Pipat.
Good afternoon, venerables, distinguished guests. It's truly my honor and pleasure to be here at the Sakyadhita International Conference on Buddhist Women. Actually, I'm a bit nervous, but I'm trying to control everything. Okay, and I really like to receive your feedback for my paper because it's quite complicated issues. As we see on the other day that Lisa presented her paper on matches, and there's something controversial come up among us. So maybe in my paper there will be some point that will relate to Lisa's paper also. So today I'm going to talking about visible and invisible obstacles of the Bhikkhuni movement in Thailand. Women have played a significant role since the Buddha's time in 6th century when Mahapajapati approached the Buddha and asked for ordination. So she is the first woman who initiated a Bhikkhuni order, and Bhikkhuni order immediately became popular with women both young and old, and many of them have attained enlightenment in different levels. The story of successful nuns appear in Trerikatha Sutra in Tripitaka. After that, since then, the Bhikkhuni lineage, along with Bhikkhu lineage, spread out of India and throughout the Asian region. Surprisingly, Bhikkhuni order never came to Thailand, despite Thailand has the highest Buddhist population in the world. We have 95% Buddhist population. Okay, so compared to Sri Lanka, which have worked on the Bhikkhuni issue for a long time, now Sri Lanka have several hundred Bhikkhuni, whereas in Thailand, at the moment, I think we have only 20 Bhikkhunis and novices and female novices. So in this paper, I'm going to explore the obstacles that face the Bhikkhuni movement in Thailand. How do these obstacles manifest, and how do they affect Buddhist women? I find that many of these obstacles can be categorized into two main types, visible and invisible. So this paper will also conclude with a suggestion for strategies to move on the issues. The first visible obstacle is the structure of Thai Buddhism itself. Unlike Sri Lanka, Buddhist institutions in Thailand all belong to one body, which has been continuously ruled by a Supreme Patriarch, who is the president of the Sangha Supreme Council under the Bureau National Buddhism. Unity and consensus are the strong points of the administrative structure. However, this structure has also become a serious obstacle for spiritual development, as it does not allow junior monks to express their different ideas and viewpoints. For instance, concerning the Bhikkhuni issue, there are many monks who support women to become a Bhikkhuni, but they cannot express their opinion on the matter, lest they be expelled from the temple by the order of the Sangha Supreme Council. In addition, the Sangha Supreme Council has the power to withhold monks' passports if monks act against the will of the Supreme Council. The second visible obstacle is the Sangha Act of 1928 that prohibits Thai monks from ordaining Thai women as samaneri, sikhamana, and bhikkhuni. This act was promulgated after Naren Pasit, the guy that Hema have mentioned this morning. He is the one who first initiated and tried to restore Bhikkhuni order in Thailand by allow his two daughters and other women to ordain as seminary in 1927. Anyway, since he was viewed as a rebellious figure by the Thai state at that time, his movement was closely followed by the Buddhist hierarchy, including his work on the Bhikkhuni movement. Consequently, these women were physically disrobed and jailed for a certain period. In 1928, the Supreme Sangha launched this act, which is now a serious obstacle for spiritual development of Thai Buddhist women. This act not only defeats the Buddha's purpose in establishing Bhikkhuni order, but it's also against the Thai constitution, which guarantees religious freedom for both men and women in Thailand. However, whenever one raises this concern to the state will pass the issue to the Supreme Sangha Council. Unfortunately, the Supreme Council then declares that the Bhikkhuni issue is a religious affair and has nothing to do with the state. Therefore, the state and civil society should not intervene. This is contrary to the Buddha's statement that monks and nuns should follow laws and rules of the state for the sake of a harmony of society. For the above reasons, it's almost impossible for Thai women to receive ordination as seminary, sikhamana, or bhikkhuni in Thailand. What they can do is travel to other Buddhist countries to be ordained, unless there is financial support from the family or society. However, it's very difficult for poor Thai women to ordain abroad due to many expenses involved. Due to these financial limitations, many Thai women have remained in the status of lay woman or traditional nun, known as Machi. Since the Sangha Supreme Council has never recognized the Machis as ordained people, their status remains ambiguous. The Ministry of Transport doesn't recognize them as ordained, so they do not receive any state support earmarked by the ordained, such as free or discounted travel fares for monks. At the same time, the Ministry of Interior considers them as ordained people, so they do not have right to vote. These double standards has marginalized Machi in Thai society. So next, I'm going to talk about invisible obstacles, which are more or less formal, but more abstract, and play equally significant role in obstructing the spiritual development of Buddhist women in Thai society. The first obstacle is closed-mindedness of conservative Thai Buddhists. One of the reasons conservatives cite for why bhikkhuni are not needed in Thailand, because we never had bhikkhuni before. Not only does this reason reflect a lack of comprehension about the importance of bhikkhuni order, but also reveals a closed-minded mentality. Unlike Sri Lanka, where bhikkhuni were once established segment of society, the bhikkhuni order never entered Thailand, at least according to the present historical evidence. Therefore, it is understandable that most Thai Buddhists perceive the idea of bhikkhuni to be rather novel. Few Thai Buddhists realize that bhikkhuni order was established by the Buddha, or that many bhikkhuni existed during the Buddha's time. This doesn't mean that Thai Buddhists should not consider the new concept, however, since many new ideas has been well received in Thai society, including democracy and modernization. The next invisible obstacle is sectarian thought. Many Thai Buddhists believe that Thai Theravada Buddhism is only genuine form of Buddhism and that other schools are not legitimate. They cannot comprehend why Mahayana monks wear trousers, do not shave their eyebrows, and eat in the evening. These matters of appearance and behavior have been perceived as a lack of strict discipline. As a result, many Thai Buddhists have a somewhat negative attitude towards other schools of Buddhism. This attitude also affects the way of bhikkhuni issue is perceived. Buddhist women in Thai Theravada tradition who become ordained in Mahayana tradition are considered exotic and thus not a part of Thai Buddhism. Although currently there are some Thai women who have been ordained in Sri Lanka, such as Dhammananda Bhikkhuni, which follow the Theravada tradition just same as in Thailand. These women have not been accepted by Thai society, especially by the Buddhist institution and the state. Since the current Theravada Bhikkhuni is restored by way of the Mahayana tradition. The third invisible obstacle is the gender bias. First, it's belief. This is some examples that I can explain to you at the moment. First is the belief that women cannot attain enlightenment. And I think this is the issue that we have discussed on the other day morning for the workshop. This belief propagated by some monks, or especially by the Dhammakaya sect. For this reason, women have to create much merit, make a wish to be reborn as a man, and only then they will be able to achieve liberation. Second, women are believed to be polluted and inferior beings. This message can be found in some Pali commentaries, but not in the Tripitaka. Third, to be born as a woman is viewed as a punishment of the bad karma in the past lives, especially for sexual misconduct. With these beliefs, these Thai Buddhist women have been placed outside the religious realm and have never been included in decision-making in Thai Buddhism. These gender bias beliefs are evident in the legal definition of the Thai Sangha, which includes only male members, namely bhikkhus and samanera. Moreover, there's a double standard regarding gender and attitude toward ordination in Thai society. When a man wants to ordain, the public agrees and encourages him. But when a woman wants to ordain, the public questions and discourages her. And so I think there must be something wrong in Thai Buddhism. Okay. Also, gender bias can be found not only in Thai Buddhist men, but also in Thai Buddhist women, including Machi. From my observation, many Machis believe that women are inferior to men, so that they have to make a lot of merit for the better lives. However, this belief is less found in Thai Buddhist lay women. In this regard, some Thai women have been perpetuated patriarchy by internalizing gender bias. Now I come to the conclusions and recommendations. I find it hypocritical that the Thai Sangha declared at the World Buddhist Summit Conference in Bangkok last December that Thailand will be the world center of Buddhism, when the half population of Thai Buddhists, namely women, are still neglected. So I think unless there is well-established Bhikkhuni order in Thailand, the Sangha declaration remains a mission impossible. Furthermore, I think if we have a right understanding that the Buddha prescribed the Vinaya of discipline in order to prevent his followers from committing bad conduct, but not to obstruct them from doing good conduct, the obstacles of Bhikkhuni ordination in Thailand will be solved in a more positive way. These obstacles are not only reflect the patriarchy in Thai Buddhism, but also manifest the oppression among Buddhists themselves. I strongly believe that as long as one still involved in the circle of oppression, whether they are oppressors or oppressed, they cannot be truly liberated. So my recommendation will be all forms of bias and discrimination must be eliminated. The state must legalize religious status of Buddhist women, even no matter they are Machis or Bhikkhuni or Samaneri. Public should be educated on women in Buddhism through the means of education campaign and public policy. Last but not least, Buddhist women should organize themselves nationally and internationally, such as the Sakya conference like this, to empower and to support each other. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Kulavia Pipa, for her so great paper, and we really appreciate. And now we will move to our next speaker, Jampa Jitrong. She has taught Buddhism and Buddhist philosophy and worked as an interpreter at the Tibetan Center, Hambo, since 1985. She received full ordination in 1985 and also pursued a traditional monastic education under Geshe Tuten Nyangwa from 1980 to 1996. And she specialized in Vinaya and is currently a PhD candidate at Hamburg University. She has been active in the Tibetan Center, the German Buddhist Union, Sakyadhita International Association of Buddhist Women, and the Foundation for Tibetan Buddhist Studies for many years. And now let us welcome Jampa Chichong.
Thank you, very Venerable Jenlang Fashi. For more than hundreds of years in Asia, Buddhism was passed from generation to generation. Now various traditions of Buddhism are being transmitted from the East to the West. At the same time, Western ideas are influencing Buddhism in the East. Thus, areas of tension have resulted when old traditions are questioned. We need to understand what is the essence of Buddhism and what is cultural or sociological embellishment without losing the purity of Dharma of the various traditions in modern fast-moving times. Many Western women are asking whether Buddhism is suitable for women at all, because in the West they cannot find many female teachers with equal religious titles and positions. For example, there are still not many Tibetan bhikshunis, and nuns and laywomen have not attained the monastic academic titles of the Geshe-ma or Kenmo yet. During the last 25 years, some Western female followers of Tibetan Buddhism have taken full ordination, upasampada, in Korea, Taiwan, or with Vietnamese nuns and monks in exile because it was not transmitted to Tibet. During the first conference on Tibetan Buddhism in Europe last year, His Holiness the Dalai Lama donated Swiss franc 50,000 as a pilot fund to revive the Bhikshuni vow in Tibetan Buddhism. He suggested that Western nuns should take the lead by exploring ways in consultation with Buddhist leaders in Asian countries. Meanwhile, a committee of Western Bhikshunis was established and met in March 2006 in the US to prepare a paper which was presented during the recent conference of Tibetan Vinaya Masters in Dharamsala. Tibetan government is pushing their Department of Religion and Culture to come to a conclusion on the matter of Bhikshuni ordination soon, after the more than 20 years of research they have been conducted. The results will be presented during an international scientific symposium on Bhikshuni Vinaya and ordination lineages with representatives of the various Buddhist traditions in Hamburg next year. Before I make some suggestions on how to revive the Bhikshuni vow in Tibetan Buddhism, let me say a few words on the concept of the three vows theories in Tibetan Buddhism and briefly explain why there are Tibetan nuns but no Tibetan Bhikshuni Sangha. The crux how to revive the Bhikshuni vow is related to the Tibetan understanding of the authenticity of lineages of the three vows, especially the Pratimoksha vow. This is my main topic today. There are three important vows in Tibetan Buddhism which each person usually takes in her life: Pratimoksha vows, Bodhisattva vows, and Tantric or mantra vows. Within the three higher trainings of ethics, concentration, and wisdom, all three belong to the training of ethics, Shila Shiksha. Already when Tibetans came into first contact with Indian Buddhism, they received these three vows. And shortly after, the question of whether they were always correctly transmitted became a topic of debate. Here we will only deal with one of the 8 Pratimoksha vows, the only one that was not transmitted to Tibet, the vow of a Bhikshuni. It is not taken from a single master like the lay, Bodhisattva, or mantra vows, but from 2 sanghas, the Bhikshuni Sangha and the Bhikshu Sangha. You may wonder how there can be Tibetan nuns without having a Bhikshuni Sangha. According to the Tibetan Vinaya, nuns are novice nuns, Shramanerikas, ordained by Tibetan bhikshus instead of bhikshunis, and thus belong neither to the Bhikshuni nor to the Bhikshu Sangha. Tibetan novice nuns are mentioned first in the Blue Annals during the later spread of the doctrine to Tibet. Through the earlier spread, we have no accounts of nuns in Tibet yet, although there were many bhikshunis in India up to the late 11th to the early 12th century, even at Nalanda. But we do not know which Vinaya tradition they followed. Tibetans practiced the Vinaya of the Mula Sarvastivada tradition, which was mainly spread in North India, but also in Nepal. The Bengali master Shantarakshita introduced it to Tibet in the 8th century. He lived in Nepal, where many went for Vinaya studies up to the 11th century. As in India, the Bhikshuni order had almost been extinct then. A last document mentions a nun in Nepal in 1069. Surprisingly, although the Bhikshuni vow was not transmitted to Tibet, there are accounts of them in Tibet from the early 14th century up to the beginning of the 16th century, especially in connection with the famous master Sakyadhita9, who functioned as abbot for the ordination of the famous Bhikshuni of Gyama and others, which was performed by the bhikshus only. The great Sakya scholar Gorampa Sönam Sengi criticized it. Others claimed that it must have been valid since Sakyadhita9 was a great Vinaya expert. However, Tibetan bhikshunis disappeared latest with the 5th Dalai Lama in the 17th century. The validity of ordinations depends mainly on the authenticity of Pratimoksha vow lineages. If we want to revive the Bhikshuni vow in Tibetan Buddhism, we are confronted with legalistic details. In Buddha Shakyamuni's lifetime, numerous prohibitions, prescripts, special permits, and supplements were made as recorded in the Vinaya. Nowadays, there are various renditions, living traditions, and interpretations of the Vinaya. Traditionally, complete Vinaya teachings are only given to and handed down by bhikshus and bhikshunis because theory and practice have to go hand in hand. Tibetans have developed a very unique system of recording lineages. There are various types of lineages in Tibetan Buddhism, like Vinaya lineages, mantra lineages, lineages of bodhisattva practices, and so on. Tibetan Vinaya scholars consider it very important that the lineage of succession of the Upasampada abbots or abbesses is uninterrupted to prove the authentic origin of the respective bhikshu or bhikshuni vow. It must have been transmitted from generation to generation, from one master to the other, just by ordination. In case a lineage is broken, it must be shown that the lineage which is newly adopted reaches back to the Buddha himself. The records of vows, teachings, initiations, and so on received are called senyik. It is a special genre in Tibetan literature. They consist of endless lists of names of lineage masters in chronological. In the headline, the name of the lineage is given like Pratimoksha vow lineage. Through a senyik, famous lamas prove that all teachings and vows which they passed on had been properly received from other lineage masters. One does not need to be appointed as lineage master. If a person has received a certain transmission and passed it on to disciples, she becomes a lineage master. This is considered to be a great responsibility. Tibetans would probably expect the Bhikshuni lineage to start with Buddha Shakyamuni or the first nun whom he ordained, Ma Prajapati. Tibetan Bhikshu lineages start with Buddha Shakyamuni or Shariputra. With regard to the Indian masters, they jump over centuries. Most important is the name of the master who ordained the first Tibetan and his name. The lineages do not contain the names of all masters in one generation. The records are not kept for historical reasons, but to prove the authentic origin and to recollect the kindness of one's lineage masters and enable oneself to take the vow with confidence. So I skipped the whole paragraph on the various Tibetan bhikshu lineages because we have no time. I just want to make sure that you understand the most important parts, that we have two main lineages that can be traced back to Kashmiri Pandita Shakya Shribhadra and the Bengali master Shantarakshita, and the lineage of Kashmir Pandita Shakya Shribhadra, had two main branches, and then these two main branches again split into two. So we have the 4 Jyotin gatherings and another lineage of Sakya Pandita that reach back to Shakya Shribhadra. This is still under research. And then there's another division of the Vinaya ordination lineages with divisions in a so-called upper, middle, and lower Vinaya lineage, which refers to different parts of Tibet. And for us, only the lower Vinaya lineage is here very important because it's a lineage held by the 14th Dalai Lama, so the present Dalai Lama, and it can be traced back to Shantarakshita, who brought the Tibetan Mula Savastivana Vinaya to Tibet. And only due to the help of 2 Chinese monks, the Hashang Kewang and Giwang, the monk Lachen Gongpa Rapsel could be ordained by 3 Tibetan monks and the 2 Chinese monks. So now what is very important is to find out which Vinaya school these 2 Chinese monks hold it. So if anybody of you knows anything about this, please contact me. This is one of our most urgent questions, because it can be that they have been Dharmagupta Chinese bhikshus too, and this will be very important, as you will understand later. Beside the unbroken ordination lineage, another important criterion for reviving the Bhikshuni vow in Tibetan Buddhism is the proper carrying out of the ordination rite. There are certain requirements that need to be fulfilled from the viewpoint of Tibetan Vinaya. For example, the candidates need to have a certain minimum age and the correct virtuous motivation. The monks and nuns performing the ordination must have certain qualifications too, like a minimum of seniority in the order, knowledge and experience. Even at the lifetime of the historic Buddha, naturally a number of faults occurred during ordinations, like the candidate fell asleep during the ritual. Despite that, the Blessed One considered the ordinations valid. In general, if an ordination ceremony has been concluded by announcing date and time, it is legally valid. If faults become known later, they are not considered the fault of the ordained person, but of the ordination masters. I have never heard that an ordination was declared invalid. Therefore, it is our duty to perform ordinations as correct as possible. What is the main cause for the rising of the Bhikshuni vow? According to Tibetan commentators, the most important cause is the virtuous mind of renunciation. Likewise, it is important to have the wish to take the vow and the conviction that it has been obtained. Furthermore, it is important not to take the vow by oneself through imagination, but in front of a human Sangha who performs the legal act. According to the Mula Savastivada Vinaya, the legal act of the Upasampada of a Bhikshuni is like that of a Bhikshu, a so-called legal act during which the motion is put 3 times and is then followed as 4th item by the decision. But different from the Bhikshu ordination, it is only performed once in front of 2 Sanghas. Bitte? Okay. According to the Pali and Dharmagupta Vinaya, this kind of act needs to be performed twice. Once in front of the Bhikshuni Sangha and again on the same day in front of the Bhikshu Sangha. Therefore, in Pali, the formal ordination of a nun is called the 8-fold pronouncing Upasampada. So now I have to jump on again because only 5 minutes left. So we come to the suggestions how to revive the Bhikshuni vow. The ordination of Bhikshunis can be conducted by a Bhikshu Sangha only. Then we can either follow the Mula Savastivada Bhikshu ordination rite, like they are doing it now for the Shramaneras, or following the Mula Savastivada Bhikshuni ordination rite. But in this case, one could think about doing it without the Bhikshunis, that the Bhikshus take all the responsibilities and the various functions, also those of the Bhikshunis. Or we could do a dual ordination by both Sanghas that is usually described. And then, for example, Tibetan bhikshus could do the ordination together with Chinese bhikshunis. So the suggestion of His Holiness the Dalai Lama is to discuss this and decide this on an international level with leading bhikshus and bhikshuni masters. And as I mentioned before, we have a conference on this next year in Germany from July 18 to 20. And His Holiness said that he will give his full support and that he hopes that the symposium will inspire Buddhist women in their dedication to a religious life and improve their social recognition. We will invite leading Buddhist monks and nuns as well as academics who are specialized on Vinaya to participate as speakers in the conference. Suggestions of whom to invite from your country are most welcome now, and if you like to participate yourself, please tell me. So then we come to the conclusion, and so you see you can have, we have the 3 existing Bhikshu lineages, the Theravada, Dharmagupta and Mula Savastivada Bhikshu lineage, but there's only one Bhikshuni lineage, that is the one we have still in the countries where the Dharmagupta tradition is spread. And it came from Sri Lanka due to the help of Sanghamitta, who went there in the 3rd century BC, the daughter of King Ashoka. And then later in 434, the Bhikkhuni Tessara, the Sinhalese nun, together with 11 other bhikshunis, ordained the Chinese nuns, Weiko and others, together with the bhikshus of the Dharmagupta tradition. So we have already a precedent here. And I myself suggest an ordination in front of a Sangha of 10 Tibetan bhikshus and 12 Dharmagupta bhikshunis. We do not know which lineage Bhikkhuni Tessara had. There are no accounts of Dharmaguptakas in Ceylon. According to Skilling, we have only accounts of bhikkhunis of the Mahavihara and the Sagalika school. This means during the first dual ordination in China, it was agreed that the nuns would henceforth follow the same tradition as the monks in China. That is the Dharmagupta tradition, which flourished from the 1st century onwards, especially in northwest India. All of us are followers of the one Vinaya tradition of Buddha Shakyamuni. In the course of centuries, this lineage split off in various branches and developed different renditions of the Vinaya Pitaka. All lineages are of one origin and of one nature, and therefore pure and unbroken. During ordination, most important is not the lineage, but renunciation. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Venerable Jampa Jitong's great speech. And our last but not the least, but also the great speaker is Venerable Tenjin Pamo. I think everybody has been very well known to her. And she was born in England. And at the age of 18, she went to India and to find a qualified teacher of Buddhism. And soon thereafter, she received ordination as a novice nun and spent 18 years practicing in the remote Himalayan region of Lahore. And in 1973, she traveled to Hong Kong to receive her Bhikshuni ordination. And her Tibetan Buddhist lineage is a Drupa Kagyu. And currently, she is working to establish a monastery for the training of a woman yogi, which is a Toten Mas. And that is a kind of a training for the woman for their education of the Buddhism. And after that, if they are qualified and they can become a yogini and to get a training for that. And Venerable Tenjin Pamo, her very great commitment is to revise this great Tibetan tradition of the Tatema, the woman yogis. And now we welcome her speech.
So, good afternoon to all of you. My talk this afternoon is actually not on Vinaya. That has been already very well dealt with by my colleagues here. Today I'm dealing with the somewhat controversial subject of Buddhist monasticism in a consumer society. I was asked to do this by several people to bring this subject up. It's a bit controversial, but I think it's good also to stir things around. So this question of Buddhist monasticism in a consumer society is a very huge and important subject. And of course, in such a short time, you know, I can only touch briefly on just a few aspects, and I can't deal with it in any kind of depth. However, I do hope that just these few words will spark some debate and some constructive discussion. First of all, I would like to say, I have to say this right at the beginning, that there are many masters in the present day in all Buddhist traditions who are totally committed to spreading the Dharma to all those with interest. They teach both theory and practice and often encourage their followers to engage in activities for the benefit of society in general. And these masters, in the present day as well as in the past, both male and female, both monastic and lay, exemplify for us all the Dharma life well lived and are an inspiration for all of us. So please understand, I do appreciate that, and the following criticisms have to be taken in that context. So this talk is dealing with some of the problems of the Sangha in modern times, and therefore I do apologize for seeming rather critical and negative, but please understand the context. A while ago, when I was in Singapore, a friend was telling me about her father's recent death. She had called around to various temples for the arranging of the funeral ceremonies. In every temple, she was told the list of price rates depending on how many monks would be chanting, for how long, and so on. It was like contacting a business firm. Nobody offered condolences on her recent bereavement. No one asked, "Is there any way we can help you?" The monasteries happily charge money for their services, but they do not often offer consolation or advice. She was so disheartened by the lack of kindness that she almost lost faith in the Dharma altogether, and she considered changing her faith. Meanwhile, both in Taiwan and Korea last year, educated lay women brought up the question of the relevance of the monastic Sangha in modern times. Traditionally, the monasteries often were the schoolrooms where young boys could receive education. Additionally, some monks and nuns were skilled in herbal medicines and charms, so they were the trusted doctors for their supporters. They also served as counselors in time of trouble, so that their relationship with the lay people was far more close and reciprocal. The Sangha, the monastic Sangha, was set up by the Lord Buddha as a way to bring life, a way of life to bring spiritual benefits to monastics, but also to be a shining example for the often harassed lay supporter engulfed in worldly concerns, showing that a life of simplicity and contentment with little is possible and brings happiness and peace. The monastic Sangha are supposed to exemplify the life of wisdom and compassion as set forth by the Buddha. In particular, they are to be the living examples of the Dharma life well lived. That's what the Sangha is for, not just to benefit the monastics themselves, but also to be there as an example for the lay community, to inspire them as to the benefits of the Dharma life. We should remember that the Sangha are the third refuge. After his enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, the Buddha journeyed to Saranath to find his erstwhile companions, and having converted them, they were ordained and became the first members of the Sangha. This was the first thing he did. And throughout Buddhist history, in all countries of Asia where the Dharma has taken root, the Sangha has played a crucial role in preserving and hanging down the precious teachings. Almost all the great scholars, meditation masters, and lineage holders have been monks. When the great monastic universities of Nalanda and Vikramashila in India were destroyed in the 12th century and most of the monks killed, Buddhism in India effectively died out. Although the Sangha has continued to flourish in other parts of Asia, nowadays certain members of the Buddhist temples in these countries are seen misappropriating funds offered in devotion by their lay supporters. some higher level monks openly spend these donations on fancy cars and other luxuries. They live a lifestyle of self-indulgent pleasure out of the reach of most of their devotees, even though they're supposed to exemplify a life of renunciation. I won't say where, because someone said don't, but in a city, a certain city in a Buddhist country, we saw a street given over entirely to shops selling Buddhist artifacts. And there, a monk was having himself measured for a robe in front of a full-length mirror with all the fastidiousness of a businessman selecting an Armani suit. The Buddha and his followers often wore robes sewn together from cast-off clothing found on rubbish heaps. So nowadays, people are asking, how are the monks in any way superior to us in their lifestyle? Why should we honor and support them when they are not even trying to lead a life of humility and renunciation? Another challenge to be faced is the growing pointlessness or inaccessibility of the Dharma, which is still often taught in an archaic language and manner that has little relevance to the present lives of the audience. Many of the traditional sutras are directed to the much slower lifetime of bygone ages. They are also intended mainly for monastics and seem to have little advice to offer in the modern marketplace. So the younger Western-educated person usually regards Buddhism as old-fashioned, boring, and totally alien to their own lives and aspirations. Clearly, the problem here is not the Dharma, which is timeless, but the presentation of the Dharma, which has become sadly outdated. There is also the question of temples becoming increasingly large and elaborate, seeming to celebrate the glory of wealth and ostentation rather than the true Buddhist values. Senior monks are often judged by the extent of their property and the size of their following. However, the majority of the devotees are older women. Those members of the younger generation who are oppressed by modern consumer values and are looking for higher ideals often see only the usual materialistic values mirrored back, even in Dharma circles. Another complaint I heard is that nowadays some of the senior monks have become arrogant and look down on the lay people. Many of the laity are very sincere in their Dharma commitments and both study and meditate with conviction. However, it seems that some meditation masters do not take seriously the efforts of the lay people. They regard the role of the lay people to be only as donors and supporters for the temples. Therefore, the lay people dare not approach these high monks with their meditation questions and their need for guidance. In other words, the modern monastic sangha is often seen as proud and unapproachable. The lay people are thinking, I support them, but what do they really do for me? Often, for the educated, simply making merit is nowadays not considered a sufficient reason for financing a group of people who appear to make no contribution to society. There are also an increasing number of scandals within the Sangha, which cause the faithful to lose their trust. Meanwhile, in many countries of Asia, the rise of Christianity is a wake-up call for Buddhists. At least within a Protestant religion, the lay people are involved at the heart of things, and there is an emphasis on communal participation and social responsibility. Although there are now many Buddhist groups who are involved in social work, still, many Buddhists ask what more could be done to involve the Sangha in helping society on all levels. In all this, what can be the contribution of nuns to this problem? How can nuns help to bridge the gap between the Sangha and lay people? What role can the modern nun play in reviving an interest and conviction in the Dharma among the young and disaffected? Firstly, I do think that on the whole, nuns are more approachable. People are usually less intimidated in the presence of a woman, so nuns are ideal for a role as counselors and teachers. Nowadays, at least in the Mahayana countries, the modern nun is well educated and confident. Gradually, in other Buddhist communities, such as in Sri Lanka and among nuns in the Tibetan tradition, the opportunity for education and training is on the increase. Women often have a strong social conscience, and I feel that once the nuns have the means to advance through education and increase self-confidence, they can make a significant contribution to society. Indeed, in countries such as Taiwan and Korea, the nuns are already at the forefront of social activities. With nuns also experienced in meditation and study, we must not forget why we became nuns, meditation and study. They can move into the role of teachers, presenting the Dharma in a way that can connect with the present-day audience. On the whole, nuns are less likely to be arrogant, sensually overindulgent, and involved in scandals. Women are usually considered both intuitive and practical, and it is these aspects of the Dharma which need to be emphasized for the present younger generation who are so lost in false values, seeking happiness on a path that leads straight to suffering. We need a fresh approach in presenting the Dharma for the modern world whose materialistic values run directly opposite to those recommended by the Buddha, even though he himself was brought up in a position of luxury and power. The poisons of the mind are saturating our society, and many people are desperate for relief and an antidote. The Dharma, with its clear message of contentment, kindness, peace, and insight, can definitely help us to overcome our mental afflictions. The monastic Sangha are the trained doctors and nurses who can administer this medicine with skillful and compassionate knowledge. So therefore, may the Sangha's true role as examples of renunciation, simplicity, joy, and wisdom shine out to lighten the darkness of false values surrounding us all in this day and age. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for Venerable Tenzin Palmo's reflecting paper. And now we are going to have our panel for questions. And since it seems like our panel speakers are quite time preservation, so no one use over the time. So we probably can have 3 questions. Questions for Tenzin Palmo, questions about sexual abuse. Well, I have a written question here. Right? So this question is for Tenzin Palmo, Venerable Tenzin Palmo. Question about sexual abuse. Will the male teachers manipulate and use their female students for their sexual gratification, and how to prevent this from happening?
You see the advantage of having nuns as a teacher. I think the problem is, it is a problem. I think it should be publicized as a problem, not swept under the carpet. Many women, even when they have been sexually manipulated by their teachers or other members of the Sangha, feel very ashamed for themselves. And so they don't speak out. The point is that even teachers are, male teachers are men. And we shouldn't be naive. So if a male teacher propositions you, you should understand you do have a choice. You shouldn't think, oh, he's my teacher, therefore I have to do whatever he says out of devotion. You don't. If he's cute and you want to sleep with him, okay. But if you don't, then you should say no. You have the strength to say no. You have the right to say no. You shouldn't think that that is showing that you're unworthy to be a disciple. And if he manipulates you by saying, as I've heard some certain people do, I will give you the teaching if in response you sleep with me, then that teaching would not be worth having.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tenjin Pamo. Yeah, it's her great advice. And okay, our next question. Okay.
Good afternoon, dear Venerables and dear sisters. By the way, I've thoroughly enjoyed Venerable Tenzin Palmo's talk. I don't find it overcritical. I find it very real. Thank you very much. My question is directed to Sister Kulavir. You know, when I listen to your talk about how Buddhism is in Thailand, I find myself filled with so much emotions and most of them unwholesome. A lot of anger and frustration and helplessness. I have to observe it very mindfully. My question to you is, it's not at you, it's not against you, it's just, to understand better. You mentioned that in Thailand, the bhikkhus, they are against reviving the Bhikkhuni Sangha order. By the way, I'm also from Theravada tradition, so I'm speaking from my heart. You said that they are against reviving that because in the Vinaya, it is said that, you have to have certain criteria before the Bhikkhuni order can be revived. And they hold very strictly to that, saying that, you have to keep to the pure teaching so that it will be pure and untainted. But the problem I have in following that reasoning is that in your talk, in your paper, I'm sure you don't agree to this, but you're just saying that this is a mentality of the Thai people, that first, it is believed that women cannot attain enlightenment, a belief propagated by monks in the Dhammakaya sect. For this reason, women have to create much merit, make a wish to be reborn as a man, and only then will they be able to achieve liberation. The thing is, from the Theravada scriptures, it is clearly stated that women can attain enlightenment. And the Buddha said that in no uncertain terms, and in a few suttas, very, very clearly. There's no room for dispute for that. So I'm just wondering, how is the Thai people reacting to what the Thai monks are saying? I mean, they say that we can't attain liberation. This is totally against what we are taught in the suttas. How do they accept that,
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. This is what I expected at the beginning, that my paper will cause more confusion than the clear answer. Yes. I think one thing that we have to realize when we're talking about Thai Buddhism or any Buddhism is each one have their own particular uniqueness. And one of the particular uniqueness of Thai Buddhism is many Thai people, I cannot generalize for every single Thai, but many of them, they tend to attach to their master than the scripture. So whatever come out from the master, they will tend to believe in that. So, and also, because in the old day, Tripitaka is only in Pali language, so it's not accessible for the public. Even though we have a Thai version, Thai translation for, at the moment, almost 50 years now, but only few Thai people, they will just go directly to the text and read what actually written in the scripture. So I think this is a tendency of, one of characteristics of popular Thai Buddhism, that the Thai Buddhists, they tend to stick to the words or the teaching of their master, rather than studying by themselves from the text. Yes, so that's why this phenomenon is possible in Thailand. But for the Dhammakaya sect themselves, I think they're only sect, even though they're only sect out of many schools in Thailand, but they play a very influential role in Thai society. As some of you might already know, and I have talked to some Malaysian friends, they said the Makaya also come to Malaysia and give their preaching. So I agree with many of their teaching, but for this point, I think it's against the Buddha's teaching. Yes, so this is my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
May
more
I
question?
continue on
Oh.
the topic to clarify to myself, please? When you speak of closeness of minds and sectarian minds, do you refer now to Thai society in general? Do you refer to a particular? Do you refer to that? You just mentioned the Thai Buddhists. Do you refer to a particular school? Do you refer to only the male Sangha? Whom they are speaking about when you say that? This is question number one. The other is rather a comment. Tenzin Palmo's critical paper, of course, I enjoyed, no doubt about that. But I would like to suggest, or also make a critical comment in general, regarding, as a lay, I don't even consider myself to be a lay woman, but it seems like I have to be a lay woman in this Bhikkhuni Sangha, exclusive Bhikkhuni Sangha. But often, it's all right. I mean, that's Sakyadhita, it's fine. It just needs a clear definition. Sometimes I miss whether you speak of Buddhist women, the conference is called Buddhist women, but on the other hand, it said, no, it concerns just the Buddhist ordained women. So sometimes I would like to have a more clear point about that, but that's not regarding Tenzin Palmo's talk. But when you speak of this pride, one of the three mind poisons, all right, this is the side of the, you say that, we all know what you're talking about, and it's absolutely true. But on the other hand, if we do some self-reflection, whenever we judge or perceive an attitude like pride in somebody else, we also have to look into ourselves. Couldn't there be now from our, I mean, whether you want to see it from the point of view as a non-ordained or ordained bhikshuni in controversy to an ordained monk, couldn't there be also some jealousy from our side or from the female side, you know? This is just to raise the question, not, well, as an inspiration to look into ourselves as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yes.
Okay, may I respond to your first question? I think when I was writing this paper, and when I mentioned about closed-mindedness and sectarian, I mainly focus on Buddhist institution members, especially and including the Buddhist scholars who used to ordain as a monk, because these people, they have power in position in the structure of Thai Buddhism. So they would be both monks and lay people who kind of conservative and not very open, and especially they're not broaden their worldview to international level, what's going on at international level about women's human rights and women in Buddhism. So this is what in my mind when I was writing. Thank you.
Thank you. And the question for Venerable Tenzin Pamo? Do you want to, when she mentioned, do you want to make comments or response?
I didn't understand what the question was.
Oh,
Maybe may I help? Venerable Jen-Lang, may I help?
yes.
May I help? Yeah. I would like to say something on it. I think regarding the closed-mindedness, some of us were laughing and giggling to each other because we felt somehow we know it in the Tibetan tradition too. It's not only in Thailand. And for sure there's a kind of pride in us, or pride if we think like this. And we have to be careful, all of us. But I think in a way, you know, what we are relating to, I suppose, is that we are dealing with, mainly now in this issue, naturally, with the bhikkhus, and they have a different education background, many of them. In different countries it varies. And one of the problem is we have brought up in a society where you have a different way of education, and you have a historical, critical study of religions also. And then, you know, you just are confronted with masters who have sometimes very deep wisdom, great compassion, and for sure we approach them because they can give us so much. But on the other hand, the problem is that some of them have never come out of their country, and they have never seen other people, they never met, they have not got a general education, you know, so they are sometimes a little bit back in the Middle Ages, and somehow we have to try to get them into the 21st century. And although we try to treat them with a lot of respect, and we got everything we have in the Dharma we got from them, it's very difficult sometimes to express. And I noticed myself that as Westerners, if we speak up and express our feelings, for example, just sometimes crying because we feel discriminated, yeah, then we touch the heart of the masters, and they start thinking about it in a different way. But if Asian women just, you know, bow and always accept and don't speak up and don't say anything, it's very difficult. Like, for example, in 1986,